The temperature of metal is another important factor. The temperature of metal is another important factor in eliminating surface defect. In fact, surface finish defect can often be corrected by ensuring adequate metal temperature. The most desirable situation is to keep the metal temperature in a high range, but not high enough to cause other problems, right? We are not we think we know also, if we are not able to maintain the metal temperature at minimum range of required metal temperature, so we will definitely get the surface defect. So we try to keep that the metal temperature at a higher range. But what will happen, what will happen if there is no metal temperature loss? So they can easily uh, impact the dye temperature, and it can be the reason of dye flashing, right? So we always try to keep this range in a mean range, or try to uh, maintain this metal temperature within a close range, as I told you, 5 degrees centigrade, plus minus 5 degrees centigrade. If you are able, because this, how it will happen, how it we can achieve, we first of all we have to avoid melting come and holding, and by avoiding putting any runner or flow or rejected casting in a holding furnace, and we use thermocouple in a die, and we uh, uh, every time we have to put from transfer ladle to holding furnace at the same temperature range, not a higher side, or not a lower side. So this this kind of practice only help to maintain this plus minus 5 degrees centigrade. Okay, so typically metal temperature range, right? Typically metal temperature range limits are 810 Fahrenheit for zinc and 1270 Fahrenheit for aluminum, and 1250 Fahrenheit for magnesium, right? So the most important factor for metal temperature is to maintain a consistent temperature. Wide fluctuation in temperature are certain to create a problem. The metal ladled into the die should not vary in a temperature by more than 10 degrees. Right? As I have also published a paper in an international publication with the name of Hidden Parameter in a High Pressure Die Casting. Hidden parameter in a high pressure die casting. In detail, I have explained how this hidden parameter will affect this surface defects. So you can easily find out, just Google it, hidden parameter in high pressure die casting. So you will find out, and in that I explain how this ladling time, or we don't to allow to keep this ladle waiting nearby this short sleeve, right? If you are concerning about defect, so don't allow to wait ladle near short sleeve. Let's allow die closing, right? Die closing. After that, just ladling and go nearby short sleeve and directly pour the molten metal in a short sleeve. Why we allow to this ladle near short sleeve? Let's the die closing, it will close, it can take more time sometime. So during that time ladle will wait, and it will, after that it will pour the metal. So whatever it that metal temperature, we don't bother about that, but it that is the hidden parameter which will affect this your casting surface defect. The most important factor for metal temperature is to maintain a consistent temperature. Wide fluctuation in a temperature are certain to create a problem. The metal ladle into the die should not vary at die temperature by more than 10 degrees. This requires careful adherence to procedure on a furnace temperature control, how to add metal to the furnace, and proper ladling. Yeah, remember, it is not the temperature of molten metal in the furnace that is critical. It is the temperature of the metal injected into the die that must be controlled, because we don't directly measure the metal temperature when it enter the cavity through the gate. We are not measuring directly, right? So we can only maintain or control this metal temperature. Through that, we can monitor indirectly that particular parameter, because the temperature of metal when the metal entering in the cavity is very important, because they decide that temperature will decide percentage of solid, which decide the your cavity fill time, which is directly related to your this surface defect. All right. So there are some problem that can be created by high metal temperature for zinc part. High temperature cause flash and erosion of the part and the gold neck. And this is talking about the hot chamber. Okay, so high metal temperature in aluminum alloy can result in flash as well as more oxide formations, greater erosion of short sleeve, yes, and shorter plunger life. That's why we try to keep this metal temperature at the main.